The third temple, ancient prophecy meets modern reality. What if everything you thought you knew about ancient prophecy was about to collide with modern reality in the most unexpected way? For 2 millennia, the rebuilding of the third temple in Jerusalem remained nothing more than a distant religious dream. Today, that dream is transforming into something far more tangible, and the implications reach far beyond the realm of faith into the very heart of global geopolitics. The story begins with something that sounds almost mythical. 5 perfect red heifers, flown from Texas ranches to Israeli soil under the most extraordinary circumstances. These aren't ordinary cattle. According to ancient Jewish law, these animals represent the key to unlocking temple worship that hasn't been practiced since 70 AD. The biblical requirement is precise and unforgiving. No spots, no blemishes, never yoked, and containing the exact genetic markers needed for ritual purification. Incense burners designed to burn the precise spices mentioned in Exodus. Measuring cups calibrated to biblical standards. Silver trumpets capable of producing the exact tones described in the book of Numbers. The attention to detail is staggering, and the investment represents something far more serious than academic interest. When these red heifers arrived in September 2022, they underwent inspection more rigorous than any agricultural quarantine. In 2009, the Temple Institute established a training facility in Mizpeh, Jericho, about 20 minutes from Jerusalem. The breastplate alone contains 12 authentic precious stones, each engraved with the name of one of Israel's 12 tribes. Real sapphires, genuine emeralds, authentic diamonds set in gold work that required master craftsmen over 2 years to complete. Every thread has been researched, every detail verified against ancient sources. Here, descendants of the priestly tribe of Levi undergo rigorous preparation to perform temple services their ancestors have unpracticed in 70 generations. According to biblical law, only one man can serve as high priest at a time, and the selection process for that position is unprecedented in modern history. These aren't theoretical exercises. In 2015, these trainees completed the first accurate reenactment of the Passover offering in 2 millennia. And as an essential ingredient in the mixture, combined with red heifer ashes, the exact shade that adorned Solomon's temple can now adorn the third temple. These aren't random rocks. According to Deuteronomy 27:5, altar stones must never be touched by iron tools. For decades after 1967, only a handful of Jews would ascend the Temple Mount, and prayer was forbidden. Others believe only the Messiah should rebuild it. Even religious leaders are divided between those who say it is time now and those who consider it too dangerous. Today, tens of thousands of Jews visit the Temple Mount annually. The temple isn't just a religious building, but a place where the divine once dwelled. Political support is built in incrementally. The Temple Institute has announced their intention to perform the red heifer ceremony, potentially before the next Passover. The opposition goes beyond flesh and blood into what the Bible describes as spiritual wickedness in high places, where they're driven by faith, politics, or historical inevitability. The third temple has moved from the realm of distant possibility into the sphere of present preparation. Religious leaders are preparing their communities for possibilities that seemed impossible just decades ago. They're now permitted to pray openly, sing, and prostrate themselves in worship. While the path to complete Jewish freedom of access and worship remains long, Temple Mount activists describe the momentum as unstoppable. Political deals, religious unity, global events, and spiritual forces all play roles in this unfolding drama. The temple may begin with celebration, but biblical prophecy suggests it will end with confrontation. They're meeting regularly and actively planning for temple administration. Built in 691 AD, on top of Jewish temple ruins, it has never been demolished or moved. Any attempt to build a temple would likely cause global protest, violence, and possibly war. And when that moment arrives, the world will discover that this ancient prophecy has become a modern reality with consequences that extend far beyond the boundaries of faith into the very fabric of global civilization. What happens next will determine not just the future of the Middle East, but the trajectory of human history itself. Muslims and Jews both claim the Temple Mount as their sacred inheritance, while the rest of the world remains too afraid to address the conflict. Their assembly hall has been designed as a grand chamber with circular seating for 71 members and a central fountain, creating an atmosphere for religious deliberation. If the Israeli government suggested rebuilding the temple, the United Nations would condemn it. The Arab world would rise up, and nations would threaten war. Most leaders stay quiet, delay, and sidestep because they know one wrong move could spark global chaos. Every stone was formed by natural geological processes and collected by hand, following laws established 3,500 years ago. Last year, during the intermediate days, they joined dozens of other musical Levites in a performance of Psalm 27 at the southern wall of the Temple Mount. For Christians, it signals prophetic fulfillment. Religious leaders from every background are watching because they understand that if the temple rises, everything changes. For the first time in 2 millennia, these sacred songs echo through Jerusalem's ancient stones. Over 60 sacred vessels now exist, each crafted according to biblical specifications that haven't been relevant for nearly 2,000 years. The knowledge lost during the Roman destruction of Jerusalem is being painstakingly reconstructed through archaeological evidence, historical texts, and rabbinical tradition. The centerpiece of this collection is a golden menorah weighing 95 pounds of pure gold, valued at over $2 million. For 2,000 years, nobody knew how to produce this specific color. The secret was lost when the Second Temple was destroyed. Professor Zohar Amar reconstructed the ancient process from fragmentary historical sources using specific insect eggs, processed according to techniques that had to be painstakingly recreated. These aren't conceptual drawings or artistic interpretations. They're operational plans incorporating modern building code, electrical systems, plumbing, and ventilation requirements. The actual temple would measure 150 meters by 150 meters, with every chamber precisely planned according to biblical descriptions. The chamber for the Sanhedrin, the court of the priests, the altar of sacrifice, and the Holy of Holies all appear in architectural detail that would satisfy both ancient requirements and contemporary engineering standards. Rabbinical authorities examined each animal for even 2 non-red hairs, which would immediately disqualify them from their sacred purpose. Without this purification ritual, no temple worship can commence. The arrival of these animals represents the removal of what many considered an impossible barrier to temple reconstruction. The fact that multiple animals passed this ancient test has sent ripples through both religious and political circles worldwide. The significance cannot be overstated. According to Numbers 19, only the ashes of a perfect red heifer can purify Jewish priests before they enter temple service. But cattle alone don't build temples. While the world focused on other headlines, master craftsmen in Jerusalem's workshops have been quietly recreating something extraordinary. This isn't museum-quality artwork created for display. Every vessel functions exactly as described in ancient texts. The human element adds another layer of complexity to this unfolding story. Imagine the weight of that moment. Men whose bloodlines trace back to ancient priests, performing rituals that their great-grandfathers could only dream of experiencing. The architectural component of this preparation proves equally remarkable. Complete blueprints for the third temple now exist, created to modern construction standards and ready for immediate implementation. A detailed scale model, exact in every dimension, will be displayed at a new visitor center opening in Jerusalem. Perhaps most striking are the high priest's garments recreated after over a decade of research and craftsmanship. The question that haunts observers is simple. Who will wear these garments? Even the foundation stones have been collected at the Dead Sea, the lowest point on earth. Temple Institute's representatives gathered stones that'll form the altar of the third temple. The governing structure is equally prepared. The Sanhedrin, the supreme religious authority that would oversee temple operations, has already been reconstituted. Cultural elements haven't been overlooked either. The Temple Institute's Levitical choir now performs the exact musical traditions that accompanied ancient temple sacrifices. Perhaps most remarkably, the exact crimson dye mentioned in biblical texts has been rediscovered. This crimson dye isn't merely decorative. Biblical law requires its use in high priest garments, the massive curtain separating the Holy of Holies from the holy place. The political landscape presents the most complex challenge, yet significant obstacles remain. The Dome of the Rock, one of Islam's holiest sites, sits precisely where the first and second temples once stood. Political pressure compounds the challenge. Israel exists surrounded by enemies, with every decision under global scrutiny. Internal Jewish division adds another layer of complexity. Ultra-Orthodox, secular, and religious Jews disagree on rebuilding the temple. Some fear it will provoke war. The third temple affects all three major religions. For Muslims, it represents a threat. For Jews, it embodies a promise. Beyond political and religious considerations lies what many believe to be spiritual warfare. Despite these obstacles, preparations continue. For red heifers remain qualified and in the proper age window. All temple vessels are complete. Priests are trained. Blueprints are ready. The convergence of these elements after 2 millennia of separation represents more than religious enthusiasm. It suggests the possibility of prophetic fulfillment in our generation. The implications extend far beyond religious circles. Intelligence agencies worldwide are monitoring developments. Governments are quietly calculating potential responses. What happens next depends on factors both seen and unseen. The question is no longer whether the third temple will be built, but when the countdown has begun. The pieces are in place. The stage is set.